The boxing world isn't what it used to be. That's not an insult per se, it's just how things are. What's more, the big stars of the boxing genre today are like the legends that came before them. Yes, we can say that some stars, but few, are truly beyond boxing. The last one to truly do that was Floyd "Money" Mayweather. He was a man who literally transformed the sport into a set of big money bouts that would shape boxing contracts forever, as well as show the strength of personality, and being a villain can make you even more money. Allow us to show you how Floyd Mayweather made $1 billion. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. 8. Becoming more than just a name. In sports, there are various tiers of success, even when it comes to money that you can have. Most strive for that top tier, but other players just fall into it, even becoming the faces of the league. You've seen this recently with players like Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, the rise of Zion Williamson in the NBA, and so much more. These are players, along with legends of the sport of course, who have transcended the sport in ways that are hard to describe, but absolutely pay out when the time is right. For Floyd Mayweather, he knew that this was what he had to do, and for reasons that go beyond money. Because when he entered the boxing world, it was nothing like it used to be. Boxing at one time was the sport in America, but the NFL, NBA, MLB, and others eventually stole its spotlight as legends like Ali, Tyson, Holyfield, and Foreman all slowly but surely left the sport, and thus left giant holes to be filled. Floyd had to become Money Mayweather to make boxing matter again, and to get the payouts that he felt he deserved as a top draw. He couldn't just be a name. He had to be a brand, an icon, and draw every person possible to the fights he had, which he did over and over again. So you see, it wasn't just a money grab, it was an attention grab. One that started out in the most basic of places, as you're about to see. But this right here shows the overall intelligence of Floyd Mayweather. Something he's not given credit for if you know how people talk about him at times. But he didn't care about what they thought, he cared about what he thought. He also cared how good he was in the ring, and he was good. And he proved that even in the earliest of days. 7. His amateur record. As sports have proven time and time again, just because you're good in one league at one level doesn't mean you're going to be good at a higher level. For Floyd Mayweather, before he could even think about going after $1 billion in money, he had to start out as an amateur boxer, which was helped along by the fact that his father was a former boxer and thus could train him rather easily. During his amateur run, he participated in 90 boxing matches. He won 82 of them, a very good number overall, and one that many would have loved to have in their own amateur boxing careers. It also showed that Floyd's skill was visible from the outset, but more than that, this large amount of experience led to Mayweather being able to refine his craft. In this case, that would be a defensive boxing style that would lead him to many victories in the future, which obviously he was counting on big time to happen. But how it happened shocked many, and it would lead to the changes that would make Floyd Money Mayweather. 6. Pro record at the beginning. Floyd started his pro boxing career at an astounding 18-0, which would lead to his very first title fight that was stopped because he was beating his opponent so badly that his corner threw in the towel, which showed just how dominant Floyd was in the match. But just as important, his open 18 or so boxing matches led him to getting his first ever nickname, Pretty Boy. Why such a weird nickname? That would be because he would use his defensive boxing style to ensure that he wouldn't get hit in the face, thus protecting his good looks. That name would stick for a while. What would also stick was the money he was getting through winning every single fight. It was a lot, but it wasn't enough for Mayweather, not yet. So as in all things he does, he decided to go and do more, and do better for himself and his bank account. 5. Top rank contract. The contract that you get in a sports league defines a lot for you, including the years you're in the contract and how much money you make. For the first 37 fights of Money Mayweather's career, he was assigned to Top Rank, which was one of the biggest fight promoters in the world. So something that Floyd was happy with for a time. In fact, by 2007, he was making $5 million in every fight he did. So by the time he was done with those first 37 fights, he made about $185 million. A great amount, but Floyd obviously wanted more, a lot more. 4. Getting out of his contract. Despite how good Top Rank was being, Floyd knew that he had to do something big to get more money, and that would only happen if he could get out of his contract. So being the smart guy that he honestly is, he combed over the contract and found a loophole that let him get out by paying $750,000 to Top Rank. Which he did, and he was free to do whatever he wanted, which in this case was making Mayweather Productions and becoming 3. Floyd Money Mayweather. Floyd really felt that the best way to get more money was to bet on himself, so he created the Money Mayweather brand to help show that he was worth the money, wanted the money, and willing to promote to get that money. It was a winning formula too. His first match on his own was worth $8 million. And then when he did the super fight against Oscar de la Hoya, which got him $25 million. After that match, he would only do boxing matches for $25 million, and thus would continually add to his massive amount of cash he was getting. 2. Bringing in the best. When you think of Floyd Mayweather now, you honestly think of the super fights that he took part in and helped define his career. But even the lesser fights were made big because of Floyd. He would play the role of villain to ensure that people watched the matches. And he was also smart by making sure that his foes would get big payouts even when they lost. The lure of money was enough to bring a lot of people to the table. Some of the biggest fights in the last 2 decades featured Mayweather going against legends, Hall of Famers, up-and-comers, and more. He brought them all to the table, got them paid, and then beat them all in one form or another. But even when he was doing his fight against Manny Pacquiao, he wasn't at the $1 billion. He had to think outside the box for that. 1. Cross-promotion. But to get to the $1 billion in earnings, he had to go beyond boxing. And so he did 2 cross-promotion matches with 2 different groups. The first was when he went to WrestleMania, WWE's mega event, and battled The Big Show in a wrestling match. His payout for that was $200 million. You may mock Floyd for going and doing play fighting, but this was one of the biggest WrestleManias ever. What's more, it featured actual sports coverage as he went up against The Big Show. Even ESPN got in on the action and was interviewing Floyd about this match, and they did video hype packages about it to further build it up. You don't do that unless you're invested, and Floyd got them invested. Then he did the mega fight between him and MMA legend Conor McGregor. Though McGregor brought the fight, Mayweather won, and pocketed $275 million as a result. But again, this was more than just a match, this was a dream match. These were 2 sports coming together in ways that had only been doing a few times in the past, and was deemed very much to be staged. These were also 2 of the biggest mouths in the game, and every time they talked about one another, they brought the fire and passion that made people want to watch. And watch them they did. People were even impressed by how good McGregor was despite the loss. Floyd doesn't get the job done, he gets the money as well, and then helped him finally cross $1 billion. So if you look at his journey, you can say that yeah, it wasn't the most straightforward, and he had to do a lot of things in order to reach that $1 billion mark, but he did it. And he can honestly say that he did most of it himself, whether it was through his mic work, his ring work, his promotion, or something in between. Nothing would have happened without Floyd being Floyd. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the life and career of Floyd Money Mayweather, and how he's gone and done all sorts of things to literally make himself rich? Are you surprised by the avenues he took in order to get to the top spot, and then make himself rich in the process? Does this change your thoughts on who Floyd is? Or do you still think he's the biggest jerk in pro sports? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.